This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
Fearless, maybe. Just a guy that, can be trusted down the stretch. Yeah, those two things. I think those two things are most important. A guy that's going to step into the moment with confidence, and that gives everyone else confidence. And then a guy that everyone trusts to make a right play.
That's Oklahoma City Thunder Shea Gillis Alexander. SGA wants to be remembered as someone who came up big in clutch moments. Oklahoma City up 2-0 on the Suns. He had 37 points and 9 assists as the Thunder beat the Suns 120-107, so they lead the series 2-0. It's a 1 versus an 8, and these tend to be pretty predictable, PK. Not always, but this one certainly is.
Oh, yeah. Predictable as the sun rising in the east, buddy.
And Detroit, the other 1 seed, beat Orlando, the 8 seed in the East. That series now 1-1 after a 98-83 win for Detroit. Why didn't they do that in Game 1? Who knows? They didn't, but they restore order. The series now 1-1.
One of the mysteries of the world.
Exactly. Now, Jalen Williams did live Game 2 for the Thunder. He had some kind of third-quarter injury there. They were without him earlier this year, PK. They're pretty deep, but nonetheless, a little cause for concern right there.
Yeah, I'm not ready to hit the panic button, buddy.
Adam Silver. With expansion looming in Seattle and Las Vegas, people wonder what the future is for the Memphis Grizzlies, and Silver suggests Nashville games. Wow, shades of the Utah Jazz playing in Las Vegas, of Kansas City playing in Omaha years ago.
Well, I don't think you need to go years ago. I think you can go San Antonio playing in Austin as current times. So I think that's what he's looking for. It's not anything that's old-time stuff. It's something that's happening now.
More games coming up tonight. If you're ready for a little more NBA basketball, and with the 1s and the 8s taking the night off, maybe it'll be a little more competitive. Knicks and Hawks are tied at a game apiece. Nuggets and Timberwolves are tied at a game apiece. They both have a game 3. And Cleveland in Toronto, they lead the Raptors 2-0. So a triple header tonight. All those games on Prime Video tonight. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
I want to be a best quarterback. And so my goals, yes, that was a good stepping stone for me, but, that wasn't the last stepping stone. And so being able to grow off of last year and be able to progress in ways that I want to, that last year wasn't really anything. It was a good year, and we got many more good years coming up.
Caleb Williams. They're moving forward, but they're not where they want to get yet. Caleb's saying the right things right there.
It was a very promising season to look forward to several good years, as he says. I mean, they've got something that is evidence now. It's in the books. It's proven what they can do, and it was it was a gigantic leap forward for them. So I understand his level of optimism.
Yep, saying all the right things. And got a coach, Ben Johnson, who did good things as the offensive coordinator in Detroit. Now had a good year one as the head coach in Chicago. Maybe they're on to something there. NFL draft starts tonight. Got a lot of anticipation for this, PK? Tracking the local guys? Or it's just something to channel surf into?
Well, I don't have an NFL team, so I don't look at it from that perspective, but I treat these drafts the same every year. The level of intrigue for me doesn't really change. I got a couple of guys here on the offensive line for the Utes are expected to go in the first round, and it's just a question of where, not necessarily. I guess when would be the factor too. But from everything we've been reading now for over a year, and Fano seemed like this was just something that was going to happen for 2 years now, and both these guys leaving eligibility on the table as they should, because this is the opportunity now to do something that they've been dreaming about and working forward. So there was no need to play college ball anymore. So from that perspective, it's not I'm not intrigued because I know they're going to go. But if you want to go where, in this case, where and when are the same thing, I guess you can have intrigue. I'm sure they have a lot of intrigue. Yeah. I always thought it would be weird. You wake up on a morning of the draft, you have a really strong idea you're going to go in the first round, but you don't know necessarily where. You may have an idea of 2, 3, maybe even 4 teams, who knows, because of the conversations you've had, although that doesn't always pan out. And then from that perspective, tonight or probably tomorrow, since I'm more and more tomorrow, you're going to be on a plane somewhere. And that's weird. I know I've got to go. I've never had that in my life. I know I'm going to be on a plane tomorrow, but I don't know where it's going. That would be kind of bizarre.
That would be. My life is about to hit the fork in the road. But where?
Yeah.
The phone's going to ring, and someone's going to be on the other end, and they're going to totally reshape my life.
Yeah, and then I'm on my way, and then there you go from there. That's got to be, for those individuals, I mean, really, you could say for just about everyone but Mendoza that he knows where he's going to go, right, obviously, and he's not going to be at the draft. There's something with his mother, I read, and he wants to be in Florida. But other than that, and it's a big party, and they show the people in the stands. You could draft someone you never heard of, but if you're a Carolina Panthers fan and they choose that guy, they show the section of Carolina fans, and they go nuts. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. I do think in the case of the Utes, for all the noise about, hey, let's not get too excited about recruiting because guys we've never heard of blow up and have great careers, and then there are the guys who you think are going to be great, but they end up transferring. But there's a couple of stories of 2 guys who were highly recruited and thought of and talked about and delivered on it, and delivered to the level that they're out of here a year early, and everybody thinks it's a great idea. That's the Cinderella story that everybody wants to have happen, and there's so many stories now that don't match it, but those 2 guys have done it.
Yeah.
All right, round 1 tonight, round 2 and 3 tomorrow, and then they will wrap up the NFL draft on Saturday. The other news, Mike Vrabel is seeking counseling. He's not going to be with the Patriots for the draft day. And the Cowboys say they won't talk long-term deal with George Pickens. Lots of speculation that they might draft a receiver. They had a really bad defense last year, near the bottom of the league. The offense was up the top, and the defense was down at the bottom. But they might draft a wide receiver and just let Pickens play out this last year and let him move on and have someone else come in, or maybe even try to trade him. So we'll see what the Cowboys do. One of the intriguing storylines.
Yeah, I don't get the Vrabel thing, and I don't care about what's going on off the field. That I know it's been sensational, but it really has no interest to me. I mean, morally, it's disgusting if that's the way it turned out, because these individuals are married. They didn't break any laws, so. But I find it sort of odd that you need counseling on the 3rd day. You couldn't wait to the 4th day or the 5th day. You needed to do it that day.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he had it planned and it just got announced, or if it's planned now, why it wasn't planned earlier. But like you said, it's not. We said this before. It's not really why we got into the business to dig into all this stuff. Maybe it was just announced because he's not going to be visible on the draft day. And
well, fine, I get it. I understand that, but why couldn't it wait a day?
I don't know.
You don't know that whatever problems that they have, and they've obviously got a bunch, that it wouldn't be delayed one more day or what have you. But maybe that the coach isn't involved in the selection process for the Patriots as other teams.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag BYU.
AJ DeBonsa going on social media to tease a big announcement coming up later this morning, 9:45 Mountain Time, and then he'll be on Instagram Live at 10 o'clock. The assumption is he's going to announce he's going to the NBA draft. Will he do something with some kind of NIL sponsor at the same time? What else might he have planned? Or will it just be really straightforward? Is it something else? Well, stick around, 9:45, 2.5 hours away. We'll all find out together.
Okay.
Kennard Davis Jr.'s DUI charge dismissed during the past BYU season, suspended there for a couple of games. There's a speeding charge, a ticket, and so he's paid that, and now he's on his way. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Mason drills. Nico drives one in the air. Deep left field. It's got a chance. Gone. Nico Horner. Cubs lead 4-1.
Here comes. And it is cranked high in the air, left center field, and that ball is gone. Yes, they count. Ellie has his second home run of the night, his third hit of the game, and it is 12 to 2 Reds.
Here's pitch. Swing on a deep drive. Right left field, and looking up, watching it leave the ballpark. The entirety of this edifice here in Boston. A home run by Giancarlo Stanton, his third, and the Yankees have a 1-0 lead.
And the Yankees go on to beat the Red Sox 4-1. This legendary rivalry, although the Red Sox off to a bad start sitting in last place, and the Yankees rolling in first place. Red Sox hoping to turn it around. It's not been going well. Yankees have now won 5 in a row.
Way to go, Yankees. Giancarlo, who went by Mike when he was younger, hits the ball about as hard as anybody I've ever seen, man.
When he hits that thing, it goes.
Yeah, I saw him hit a home run in Arizona once. I swear I blinked and I missed it.
You heard Cubs highlights in there. Nick Owner, the Cubs do it again. Cubs are rolling. They beat the Phillies 7-2. So 8 straight wins for the Cubs, 8 straight losses for the Phillies. Shohei went out there, PK, and he was sensational on the mound, although, as you like to point out, he's not usually good at the plate when he's on the mound. And he was 0 for 4 with a strikeout at the plate. But on the mound, 6 shutout innings, 5 hits, struck out 7, walked nobody. But the Dodgers didn't score, so the Giants just basically waited him out and then beat the bullpen 3-0 the final. The Giants
right, he's only going to go 6, it looks like.
Yep.
And I watched the whole game. It was on something network, one baseball network or one of them, I don't remember. But I watched the whole game just to watch him pitch. And, you know, he had his what they call a sweeper these days. The slider was working. Everything was working, and he throws so dang hard as it is that he becomes very difficult to hit. And, yeah, as soon as they took him out, the Giants hit a 3-run homer, and that was all she wrote. And then there's a story today, I was looking at it this morning, about Dave Roberts, you know, what do I want to do when Ohtani pitches? Well, I'll tell you what you want to do. Take him out of the batting lineup. You're basically giving away an inning. It's phenomenal what he does, but this is too much to do on those very days. You're better off. They've got this kid rushing who's a backup catcher to Smith, and he's hitting over 400 and mashing the ball. That's
so
your
give
guy.
Him a chance. Yeah.
And you've got other guys too that you can. They're still down with bets out. I understand that, but I think just asking him to do that is just too much. I can remember when I was pitching as a youth that I had no interest in batting those days because you're just thinking that's all you're thinking about is pitching, and to try to change. And I can only imagine at the major league level. Occasionally he can do it, but now he's pitching more. He's still not a regular guy, but he's pitching more than he has ever with the Dodgers. So, and baseball is such a data-driven sport that to me it's a no-brainer. Don't have him there. They're talking about maybe move him down the lineup. Yeah, 10th.
They've got the data, right? How could they not?
Right, of course they do.
But it comes down to the player's ego and what they want.
Well, Japanese usually are deferred by nature, so I don't think he's going to raise a stink. In the big leagues, they are.
Yeah. With the Dodgers losing and the Padres losing, the red-hot Atlanta Braves have won 7 out of 8. They came 3 down to beat the National. The Braves now with the best record in baseball. And they are hot right now. Michael Harris II, homer in twice. Drive them to victory. DJ and PK.
Hashtag RSL.
Segovia, he'll have a go. And goal! Yes! Picks it out! Top right corner! What a shot! Telasco Segovia! And Miami has the lead! 50-50 ball headed in the air. Miami has it to the top of the 18. Shot! One time Suarez off the half volley. And he buries it and Miami doubles the lead. And it looks like they're going to take all 3 points.
Real Salt Lake gets shut out. All good things must come to an end. There's the end of the 6-match unbeaten streak. Miami breaking up a scoreless game with 2 late goals, 82nd and 84th minute. RSL had their chances. PK had them early. They were playing really well the opening 10 minutes, had 2 great chances, didn't finish them. Miami got control of that game, and RSL could really never get comfortable again.
Rats.
Yes, they've now lost to the second-place team in the West and the second-place team in the East. They're only 2 losses of the year. And right back at it. Sunday, they finish off 3 games in 9 days. They will play the Galaxy in L.A. Sunday at 5 o'clock. Messi had his chances. Should have gotten his first assist of the year, and his teammate just missed the shot, sent it wide. But the crowd was there. One guy ran out on the field so he could hug Messi, stop the game. There's one in every crowd.
Oh, are you doing this from jail this morning?
He's probably locked up somewhere.
No,
in
are you?
Neighborhood in Sandy.
I figured that guy was you.
No, that guy was not me.
I didn't know if you were doing it from the Slammer this morning.
No, I'm not in the Slammer. I stayed up there in my little room there on the 4th floor where I was supposed to be. Didn't go.
Because you're like Otis the Drunk on Andy Griffith. You have your own personal cell. You just lock yourself up.
I just come and let myself in.
And I read something on social media the other day. You know why all those people were happy in Mayberry on the Andy Griffith show?
No, I do not.
Because outside of Otis, none of them were married. Barney wasn't. Aunt Bee wasn't. Andy wasn't. Floyd the Barber wasn't. Goober wasn't. Gomer wasn't. Thelma Lou wasn't. Helen wasn't. There's something to be said for that.
I had never heard that before.
I know.
Thanks for clearing that up decades later. I had never really.
I just saw it.
that.
I saw it like 2 days ago. Made me laugh.
Yeah. All right, DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Well, Ryan Smith getting on social media, stirring it up a little bit. Hey, come on down, you Vegas Golden Knight fans with your golden jerseys. You can swap them for a Mammoth jersey for free.
Wouldn't that be come on up from Vegas?
Yeah, I guess so. You're right. You can't come on down from the south to the north. That's coming on up. You're right. My bad. You can't go back west. You can go out west and you can go back east, but that's my bad. It'll be interesting to hear how many people take him up on that. I mean, obviously we didn't have the NHL here, and Vegas won a Stanley Cup, and they were a new thing, and you're a hockey fan, so I can see why some people got on board as Vegas fans here, but now Ryan Smith making sure they have a chance to
I think
swap
zero
that
people will
jersey.
take him up on. I think this
Zero?
This is his time to shine, man. Get some attention.
They're back at it tomorrow night with Game 3. Last night, the Flyers in the Battle of Pennsylvania destroying the Penguins 5-2. They lead the series 3-0. Dallas scores in double overtime to beat Minnesota 4-3. They lead the series 2-1. And Anaheim wins in Edmonton, a wild game 6-4. That series tied 1-1. Edmonton, they score a lot of goals, but they let in a lot of goals too. Will it be their undoing? For one night it was. See when it catches up with them. That's what's trending in this segment, sponsored by Shamrock Plumbing. No job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. All right, coming up, we're talking NFL Draft. Justin Melo covers the NFL for Sports Illustrated. He's going to join us at 7:30. Matt Larkin from the Daily Faceoff. We'll talk NHL playoffs. We'll see what he thinks of the first two games in the Mammoth Golden Knights series and what he thinks Utah and Vegas will do in Game 3. He's coming up at 8:30. And hopefully we'll talk to Cole Bagley in the 9 o'clock hour. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody brings you better coverage of the teams you're passionate about than these guys.
Try some more.
This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined now by Justin Melo, who covers the NFL and the NFL Draft for Sports Illustrated. Justin, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Appreciate you for having me. Finally, months of evaluation, months of conversations, lots of lying, lots of smoke screens. It all comes to a head today. Excited to see what happens tonight.
Yeah, we had a guy named Walt Perrin who used to run the NBA draft for the Utah Jazz, and they would make him available every time there's a workout. So we'd only talk to him in like the 6 weeks leading up to the draft, but we'd talk to him 15 times. And he always used to say, the Liars Club is in session. How much do you know what's going to happen today? How much can you dope out the top 10? And how much are you just waiting to see thing? And there's a trade coming that nobody's talking about or that somebody was lying about even if they were asked about it, and this is all going to get scrambled.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting evening. And, this draft is incredibly unpredictable and unique in terms of, where the blue chip talent is, who are the premier prospects, which positions are weaker than others. And I think that's going to lead to very unpredictable results tonight. Sure, we've known for a long time that the Las Vegas Raiders are going to take Fernando Mendoza at number 1 overall. After that, I don't know that we know anything. The New York Jets seem to be going back and forth on David Bailey and Arvell Reese. It was initially, it's going to be Arvell Reese, then it was David Bailey. Now it's Arvell Reese again. And now I think it might be Bailey again, actually, based on all the back and forth over this past week. We know they're going to go with one of those pass rushers. The Arizona Cardinals are a real wild card at number 3. That's maybe where the draft begins. Do they go with the leftover pass rusher, who doesn't go there at number 2? Do they trade the pick? I've spoken to a lot of people who indicate they would love to trade down, and I think that kind of checks out with, Monty Ossenfort, their general manager, and what their needs are. Or does the owner get involved? That owner is kind of known to be a bit of a meddler, and there are some whispers out there that he really likes Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. And, why wouldn't he? He sells jerseys. He's probably the best player in the draft. I think they need to put some butts in seats there in Arizona, and I think Jeremiah Love would do that. Certainly don't feel that's the direction that the general manager wants to go in based on all he did at running back this offseason. It's going to be an interesting night, but I think it probably starts at number 3.
Since we know Mendoza is going 1, do we have an idea? Do you have an idea that we got to wait till the end of the first round or maybe even the second round before the second quarterback goes?
Absolutely. I'm at the point where it might be crazy to predict this, but I am expecting a team to trade back into the first round for Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. I think the position is too valuable. It's a weak quarterback class. At times, beginning of the season, especially for Alabama, he played at a pretty high level. certainly, I mean, he was in the mix at number 1, we thought, in September, October, based on how he was playing. So the Arizona Cardinals are a big one. In my final mock draft, which published this morning on NFL Draft on SI, if they trade down from 3, which, again, I believe is the general manager's preferred outcome, they would then be acquiring enough capital to make a move back into the first to take Ty Simpson. I think that's where things could get really interesting, because right now, I believe they're scheduled at 35 or 36. They've got one of those opening picks in the second round. They'd probably have to come up. A team like the Buffalo Bills at 26, from what I understand, are more than willing to move down, even move out of the first round altogether. They're targeting more of a devalued position. The Bills like the linebackers. They like the D tackles. And they're willing to say, hey, we know we can get that guy at 35, 36. We're willing to move back. So certainly the New York Jets are another team. Everyone seems to be ignoring them. They've got 2 second-round picks. They could absolutely be a team that moves back into the first round, for Ty Simpson, if that's the quarterback they covet. So I do anticipate that one of these teams are going to move back up into the opening 32 to get the second quarterback, Alabama's Ty Simpson.
Chiefs have had a great run. They have been awesome. Now they've had a bad year. They get a rare high draft pick at number 9. What do you think Andy Reid wants to add to the team? Because they don't get to draft in this spot very often, and they may not get to draft in a spot like this for a while again after this one.
Yeah, they also have number 29. Remember, they traded cornerback Trent McDuffie and got the 29th pick from the Rams. So they're going into tonight equipped with 2 first-round picks, and I'm told that they could get aggressive. They've explored moves all the way up to number 3. If a pass rusher one of the pass rushers is guaranteed to be there, right? David Bailey or Arvell Reese. I'm told, they've had some discussions about moving up there. I believe they covet one of those players more than the other. So that might depend on who the Jets take at number 2. I also think alternatively that they might be willing to move maybe not that far up, but number 6, a couple picks in front of them, the Cleveland Browns are another team who have explored moving down the board. They covet a left tackle, and they believe they can get a very good one by moving down a couple spots and picking up a few more picks. So Reuben Bain, the edge rusher out of Miami, I think is one of those guys that the Chiefs could target at be a slight trade up. And also Carnell Tate, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, who, the working belief is that if he's there at number 7 for the Washington Commanders, they might sprint that pick to the podium. So if you're a team like Kansas City at 9 and you covet the wideout, and I'm of the opinion that they should. I do not think they had enough weapons for Patrick Mahomes last season. I think they've kind of botched the receiver position in recent off seasons, in all honesty. Now you've got Mahomes coming off a serious injury. You want to make life as easy for him as possible. If they can't get up to 3 for a pass rusher or they deem it to be too rich, don't be surprised if they move up just a couple of spots and target the wide receiver, Carnell Tate.
How about our 2 local guys from Utah along the offensive line? Where do you see them going?
Yeah, I think Spencer Fano, you look at a bunch of teams. I think he'd be in play for the Browns if they stay at 6, but I do think, the Browns are probably going to try to move down and maybe target one of those other tackles. I've got Fano going to the Miami Dolphins at number 11 in my final mock. No bells and whistles there. The Dolphins stay put, let the board fall to them, and pick up who I think is a really good tackle. I know a lot of people talked about him maybe having to move to guard, but I thought he looked outstanding at the NFL Combine. The movement skills to me, and I thought the arm length came in at a pretty decent number, not quite as short as some people feared. So if he can, stick and play tackle, I think the Dolphins would have a lot of interest in that at 11, especially with them needing a long-term answer at right tackle. For the other Utah tackle, Caleb Lamu, I've got going in the first round. I don't know that, I think he's a fringe first rounder. That's a borderline thing. I specifically got him going to the Houston Texans. I actually did a really good interview with Caleb the other day that published on NFL Draft on SI just yesterday. So check out that conversation if you haven't yet. I had a real fun time with him. What a good, smart kid. But he flips the switch when he's on the field. A lot tougher and aggressive than he seems from a personality perspective. But I think the Houston Texans, back end of the first round, he told me the San Francisco 49ers hosted him on a pre-draft top 30 visit. So I think there are a couple teams that might target him, in that 28 to 32 range.
I'm really intrigued by the Giants for multiple reasons. The AFC West got really good. I mean, the Chiefs were on their great run. And then both the Chargers and the Broncos went out and got established coaches who'd won before and been really good. And sure enough, the Broncos and Chargers have made back-to-back playoff appearances. Now, we're old enough to remember a day when the NFC East was just fantastic. And it has not been fantastic lately. But if Philly can stay good, Washington can have a bounce-back year. They're down last year. The injuries were a factor. And the Giants, who've been wandering for a while, bringing in John Harbaugh, to me it kind of fits what his brother did with the Chargers and what Sean Payton has done with the Broncos. And they got the 5th and the 10th pick. They got a young quarterback and a young running back. What do you think they do? Because I've been stunned to hear about their interest in Jeremiah Love. I mean, obviously he's an awesome talent, but they've already got a back. It seems like they'd have other needs. What do you think they do?
Yeah, I think they're going to prioritize weapons in the trenches. At number 5, I think one of the easier projections, assuming Love, isn't on the board. If he is, things might get a little complicated. But I think the Giants go Sonny Styles, the linebacker out of Ohio State at 5. Harbaugh had a lot of great linebackers throughout his time at Baltimore, that really impacted the game. Obviously, even guys like Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, guys who made a difference. I think they're going to target Sonny Styles there. Elite athlete, right? Freakish numbers at the NFL Combine, set records, vertical jump and broad jump for his position group. And we talk about that position being devalued, but you look at what he does on tape, the way that he uses his length and his range to clog up passing lanes. All the rage in today's NFL in terms of offense and the way they pass the football has kind of become targeting the middle of the field. You look at the way that Sonny Styles defends the middle of the field, I think he's a big, big asset. At number 10, things get interesting there. I think they could go a number of ways. I look at Vega Aone, the guard out of Penn State. I think he would solidify a huge hole for them, help protect a quarterback who's, was injury-prone throughout his rookie season. I look at Jordan Tyson. There's been a lot of smoke connecting them to the Arizona State receiver. Certainly that pick would be an investment not only in Jackson Dart, of course, in his development, but it would also protect them a little bit as, their number one receiver, Malik Neighbors, is coming off a devastating season-ending injury. And remember, they lost Wendell Robinson in free agency. So there's a need there, opposite Neighbors at receiver. One possibility that I can't shake, if they do end up taking Sonny Styles at 5, now I do predict that they'll take the receiver at 10, but what if Caleb Downs, the Ohio State safety, is still on the board? Do they even consider the possibility, if they get Styles or even Arvell Reese, let's say at 5, do they think about reuniting Caleb Downs with one of those Ohio State teammates? He's one of the best players in the draft. I think he's probably the second best player in the draft, in all honesty. But we are expecting him to slide a little bit due to the nature of playing a devalued position at safety. If Caleb Downs is there, I'd have to think that'd be pretty tempting, maybe to reunite him with one of his teammates. The one catch, the reason I can't get myself all the way there is I'd be a little surprised if they spent both of their picks, 5 and 10, on defense and kind of neglected, the quarterback and the development that he needs to undergo.
Using the Cardinals as an example, where do you stand in terms of best player available versus needs? Because in football, every team has some needs, and maybe you only get to draft this great player one opportunity, and you might have to wait several years.
Yeah, the Cardinals are actually a really interesting example because we've heard the smoke about them, I alluded to earlier, potentially with the owner getting involved and maybe taking Jeremiah Love at number 3. I don't, I think they've probably got to do – I don't think they're in a position to do that, right? Like, you look at this roster, they don't have a quarterback. They've got, right tackle's a huge hole. I mean, I think ideally they would love to trade down and get a guy that I think they'd consider at number 3, and that's Miami Hurricanes offensive tackle Francis Mahinoa. I think there's a strong possibility that would be sort of a plug-and-play player for them. They do not have a right tackle on the roster right now. They've got a first-year offensive-minded head coach in Mike LaFleur. The Cardinals, it's a great question because, even pass rusher at 3, I mean, that probably marries need with best player available if they get stuck in that spot and can't trade down. But they've drafted a lot of pass rushers in recent years. Darius Robinson in the first round. They took a second rounder a couple of years ago out of LSU. They signed Josh Sweat to a big contract in free agency. They're in a fascinating position, because chances are the best player available is going to be the running back. They restructured James Conner. They signed Tyler Algier in free agency. They have Trey Benson they drafted highly a couple of years ago. I do not think they should take a running back there at number 3. They should probably try to find a way to marry need with, the second or third best player available, let's call it. But I think ideally they'd love to trade down and pick up a tackle because they desperately need someone to be plug and play on the right side.
You've obviously spent a lot of time trying to figure out this NFL draft. And the NFL team spent a lot of money and time trying to figure it out. And then Puka Nacua slides to the 5th round and has over 4,000 yards receiving in 3 years. Is there anybody out there you've come across who think, I really like this player. I know he's not going day 1. I'm not even sure he's going day 2. But he's going to be a really good pro.
Yeah, there are a couple receivers I like. And, one who I don't think has that upside, but I really, really like is Jeremy Bernard, the wide receiver out of Alabama. I wrote an article yesterday on SI, the most pro-ready prospects at every position in the draft. And I chose him as the wide receiver who's the most pro-ready ahead of all these. We might get 6 receivers in the first round. None of them are going to be Jeremy Bernard. None of them are as pro-ready as he is. You watch him on tape. He's the savviest, smartest route runner in this class. Might lack the high-end athletic tools needed, to be a true dominant wide receiver 1. But I think he's going to be a big-time QB-friendly wide receiver 2. All he does, if you can keep his evaluation as simple as it gets, is that he gets open and catches the football. He identifies soft zones in zone coverage, able to exploit defenses, really smart, really good football player, can run a full route tree. I really, really like Bernard out of Alabama, and I think he should go in the 2nd round. But I could talk your ear off all day. I think there are a lot of prospects. Skylar Bell, that's a really underrated receiver out of UConn, caught 95 balls this past year for 1,300 yards, 10-plus touchdowns. I really like Charles Demings, the cornerback out of Stephen F. Austin. I think he's going to be a big-time steal. Keelan Rutledge, the guard out of Georgia Tech. No one's going to – you asked about a receiver. No one's going to bring up a guard typically, but I really like Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech. I think he's going to be plug-and-play. This draft certainly lacks premier blue-chip talent at premier positions, but I think there's going to be a lot of value found specifically at, wide receiver, the interior of the offensive line, cornerback, safety, linebacker, some really good value on day 2 and 3.
Well, that is a lot of info. Enjoy tonight, and let's see if there's a couple of big trades that scramble everything and send all the predictions flying all over the place. A couple unpredictable teams moving up. Who knows, right?
Absolutely. Appreciate you for having me. Enjoy tonight. You gentlemen know where to find me.
Thank you, Justin. Justin Melo writes for Sports Illustrated, covers the NFL and the NFL Draft. DJ and PK, Matt Larkin is going to join us coming up at 8:30 from Daily Faceoff to talk NHL playoffs. He'll talk Mammoth and Golden Knights Game 3 at the Delta Center Friday night. He joins us at 8:30. Stay with us. Question today coming up at the top of the hour right here on The Zone.
This is Utah's best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth. Here we go. From the guys who have been there for all the biggest moments in Utah sports history. You're listening to DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We were just talking NFL draft, and we've had Evan Brennan on yesterday. We played that for you early this morning. He thinks 7 to 10 local guys have a chance to have their name called here over the next 3 days. And we know undrafted free agents can make it in the league. So as an event, the NFL draft keeps getting bigger. Just these massive crowds. They don't even want to hold them in stadiums anymore, PK. The stadiums can't hold enough people. They want to draw 100, 150,000. So they find open spaces and parks and whatever and all that kind of stuff. Where does the NFL draft fall on your must-see TV watching list? And Kyle says, it's our Super Bowl. I'm a Raider fan. I appreciate the sarcasm, Kyle. Well done.
Yeah, Raiders have been down for a while, man. It seems like a long, long time.
Yep. I think you get to the point where there's some owners who just can't figure it out, or owners who start to figure it out but just can't stay out of the way, and those teams are down a long time. The Raiders are on that list. The Jets are on that list. Yeah.
Well, that would be an easy thing to avoid then. That's not very hard.
The Bears might be figuring it out. I think ownership there has gotten in a way. The Lions certainly had that problem with the Ford family, but they got another Ford family member in charge, and maybe they've finally figured it out. So
the Ford family. All right.
Michelle, I watch closely in the first round. I pay attention during the second and third, and then I quit watching until Mr. Irrelevant. Go Utes.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to be watching all of the final days rounds. There's a lot of picks, a lot of players, and they just kind of buzz through them.
Yeah. A lot of names, a lot of schools, a lot of guys, and tend to just wait. And especially by Saturday, there's a weekend full of sports going on, and find out if the local guys have been picked and keep going.
But it's extremely important to the folks, to the teams, man. That's where you can really make some hay. Get some guys later in the draft who can play. I mean, they're always there. I just think about it, is they're there every single year.
Without question. It will happen. And if you get them and you get them on the cheap in a salary cap league, it's a massive advantage. Kevin, I'm not very into it this year. My interest would be higher if some Cougars were projected to go sooner or if my Niners had a top 10 pick.
Okay, well, I mean, if you got teams, I understand that.
Yeah.
I've never really had an NFL team my whole life, which was odd because I had two within 30 miles. But nevertheless, I followed the Giants a lot when I was a kid. Still follow the NFC East. That was my division of youth because where I grew up, we weren't really focused on colleges. That's for I think from in the Northeast, maybe it's changed to an extent, but high school was huge. High school football. I mean, in the communities, people would come out. You'd get great crowds every high school game, and then nobody really talk about the colleges, but my gosh, the Giants. And then to a lesser extent the Jets, but certainly the Giants, if they did anything, it was a big, big deal. And so with the Cowboys being there and me as a youngster being super impressed by Roger Staubach and what he was about, and then Washington and Philly basically down the street, NFC East was where it was at for me.
Michael says, even though I have an NFL team, it's just not on my list of TV watching.
The good thing about it now is that you don't have to watch it. You follow it on your phone.
Yep.
And so you can get the picks. And if you're interested in, for many, many years, the Jazz were playing, maybe playing that very night, or playing a team, or not playing, but the teams that they could play in the second round or something, so you could watch that, pay attention to that. But now you can just check in and out. I will watch the first round. There's no question about it. But I won't be glued start to finish.
Right.
I just can't stand the commentary. Not that I can't stand it. It doesn't repulse me. But after a while, it just gets like background noise. I want to get on to the pick. I want to see, okay, who is the pick? And then I actually like the evaluation after as opposed to before.
I think many times the thing I've enjoyed most about the broadcast has been the crawl across the bottom of the screen. Because I'm watching something else, there's a commercial break, I can flick over, or if I got two screens going and I'm not paying attention, I can literally just look down and think, oh, yeah, I've seen those picks. Oh, here it comes, I didn't know that. Oh, there's number 9, number 10.
That's where the phone
and then you
comes
catch right
in.
up, and that's it. And it's weird that the ticker would be the most entertaining part. But right, when you're dipping in and out and you're watching something else, it's perfect. I'm certainly interested in what's going on, but when one thing happens every 10 to 15 minutes, and it may or may not be that interesting to me, I'm as shallow as everybody else. I know line play is where it's at, and that's important and all that, but I am really curious what's going to happen with Jeremiah Love. Is he so good the team that's already got a running back is going to draft him just because you just can't pass up on the talent?
But who has a running back?
The Giants have Scadaboo.
Is he really an everyday back? Every down back?
No, I get what you mean. Yeah.
And he's one for
he's
one
had injuries
in terms of an injury at the college level, and so physical. That the fact that they have Scadaboo doesn't deter me at all if I want whomever it might be. And the Notre Dame kid is this year, but just using them as examples. This is football. You can't have enough good players, and I don't know that any single draft is going to address every single need you have on your football team. I don't know that you go that way. There's other ways to address needs that you can do. And is Scadaboo, I think he was a 4th-round pick. I wouldn't. You said you were stunned. I don't think I've ever been stunned on any pick that has ever been made in the NFL because you need players across the board. I suppose the one would be quarterback because that's the one singular position where you want one guy to play. But every place else, no. You need as many guys as you could possibly get, and then you have to figure it all out and put it all together. It's an NFL roster is the ultimate puzzle.
Well, there's a lot to be said for having two guys. I mean, Seahawks just won the Super Bowl, and they had two good running backs, and one of them got hurt, and they rode the other guy to the Super Bowl. So that's a pretty recent example of why you should invest in a second running back.
If that individual is the guy you want.
Yes. And the assumption here is everybody wants Jeremiah Love, and he's not going to last very long at the top of the draft.
Yeah. So
there was a time when he was projected to fall to the Chiefs at 9, and I don't think anybody thinks he's going to be on the board at 9. If the Chiefs want him, they better move up.
And that's the thing about it is I think that is much more doable than the NBA draft. If you covet somebody, that it's much easier because you just offer these people enough, and they'll say yes. Whereas in the NBA, I don't know that you can offer enough. And if you offer something that is enough, do they just say no because then all we're doing is just still running in place? We want whomever it is, and you want our best player or second best, and then you're kind of back right where you started from. Where in the NFL, you can do that because of the overall situation of the rosters and the needs and so forth. So if you like somebody that much, maybe with the exception of quarterback, but I certainly think that if the Chiefs wanted whomever it might be, seems to me they need to get more big play receivers.
Yes.
And that's been a long-standing thing for those guys.
I will be intrigued by what the Saints do also because of a guy who was on our show, Devon Vele, with the trade they made there. He became the number 2 receiver. I mean, Chris Olave is their star. And so are they going to go out and get Jordan Tyson? Do they want to add a receiver to that? Or is Vele, who came on our show every week and was a great interview, enjoyed having him on a lot. So I'm kind of curious what his future there is in New Orleans.
You've been reading Mel Kiper, haven't you?
Is that no, actually.
Why not?
Why did Mel say that?
That very thing.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that.
Well, I'm not that I would prefer reading you over Mel Kiper any day.
Okay. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Take a break. We'll come back. The question of the day, getting a ton of reaction. What's he going to do? That's next. Stay with us.